Hello guys, in today's video we're going to be building a counter program which allows you to count up from 0 to whatever number you want and then count down from whatever number you want to the 0. So we're going to be building this program using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So I have my VS Code up and running here. By the way, VS Code is a code editor that allows you to write code in any language you want. So I'm not going to get into detail. So basically, as I said, to do that we're going to be needing three files: HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So I have already created three files for you guys. So I have HTML, I have CSS, and then I have JavaScript. As you know, all of these are empty because we're going to be building this together. So this content on the top of the HTML file, this is called boilerplate. So I'm not going to get into detail to that, but basically what it does, it tells the browser how to handle the content and all the sort of stuff. But anyway, we're not going to get into that. So let's get started. So to do that, I need a div. I'm going to create a div here, and then inside of div I'm going to create a heading one, and then inside of the heading one I'm going to create a 0. So it needs an ID, so I'm gonna give it an ID of heading. So by the way, you can give it whatever you want, but make sure that the ID or the class that you're giving to an element should be descriptive, that describe what that element is going to do. And then I need a class. I'm gonna give it a class of title. Hopefully those are descriptive enough for this element. And then I need another div. So I'm gonna give it a class of container. Then it's going to contain 3 buttons inside of it. So I'm gonna create 3 buttons. So I'm just gonna copy these 3 times, and then each button is going to have an ID of increase. So the first one is going to have an ID of decrease button, so BTN. So I'm gonna assume that it's going to short for button. So, and I'm gonna give it a content of subtraction sign, since its purpose is to like decrease our number. And then the second one, I'm gonna give it an ID of reset button, and then I'm gonna give it a content of reset. And then this the third one, I'm gonna create an ID, and I'm gonna give it an ID of increase. Okay, increase button. Okay, I'm gonna give it a content of plus sign. Okay, I think so everything looks good. I think I will need a class for all of these button because of the style purposes. So I'm gonna give it an ID of button BTN. A class of BTN. So we're gonna be needing these class in order to style this. Okay, so I have everything, any content that I need for this purpose. So now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to show you how it looks on the browser. So as you can see in the right side down corner, I have a button called Go Live. I'm gonna click on this. I'm gonna preview it in the VS Code. I'm not gonna give it. So this is going to be, so here I go. So we have a 0, and then we have this button here, but as you know, so this button is not working right now. Why? Because so we need JavaScript. It's a programming language that allows us to like make a website or a program interactive. So right now it's not an interactive, it's a static thing that doesn't do anything. So anyway, so we'll get into that. So now everything is good on the HTML file for now. So we're gonna be going into style.css. So we're gonna make it like a little bit, so the layout of this is going to be a little bit good if we use like style, the CSS rules for it. So first of all, what I'm going to do, I don't like the background of it. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to use the universal selector. So I'm gonna give it a background color of blue. I don't think blue is a good one, so it looks so ugly. So we're gonna give it a little bit dark. So yeah, that should be good. We're gonna be changing if it's not good. So, and then I need a font family of Helvetica. So I prefer to use the Helvetica font family for it. And then, so as you can see, the text and any content is not visible inside of it. So we're gonna change the color of it, and the color is going to be like blue light. I mean light blue. So it's kind of good, but it's okay. So now, and so what's the ID of heading? So we're gonna use the title class, the title. Okay, title, and then we're gonna like center it. We're gonna use the text align, and then we're gonna use center, and then we're gonna use a font size, and then we're gonna use TEM, which basically make it a little bit bigger. So now, and then we need the class of container here. Okay, we're gonna display it as a flex, and then we're gonna justify content is gonna be center. What it does, it basically moves all the content inside of that container into center of the page. And then we're gonna need text, align items is always going to be center. So it's good. So, but we're gonna make it beautiful step by step. So we're gonna be giving it a gap. I think 15 pixel might work. Yeah, that's fine. And then we're gonna target all the buttons through this btn class. So I'm gonna type it btn, and then I'm gonna give it a padding of 15 pixel. So I think it looks a little bit small, so I'm gonna give it 20 pixel. Oh yeah, that looks good. So I think the text is a little bit small. I'm gonna give it a font size of 5 EM maybe. Yeah, that looks better. So yeah, so we have reset button, and then the increase button, and then the decrease button. So something that I need to do is that I'm gonna give it a border radius. So I don't want these like really thick kind of corner. I'm gonna give it a border radius of probably 15 pixel. See how it looks. Sorry, it was the wrong one, so I should add it here. Border radius of 15 pixel. Yeah, it's okay, it looks good. So it looks good. So as you can see, everything is ready, but it doesn't work. So if you click on these buttons, none of these button actually functions, because we need JavaScript. We need to program this web page, this simple web page, how to act when you click on a certain buttons. So I think the style and the content looks pretty good. So, and by the way, we need, if obviously we need a lot of work if you wanted to like make it very, very professional. But my goal in today's video is how to make it, not how to make it great. So, and we absolutely need a lot of work to like make it so visually appealing and make it so like more attractive and all those sort of stuff, but we're not gonna dive into that right now. So I think it looks pretty good to do that. So now we're gonna go to the JavaScript, but before that we need to connect our JavaScript file to our HTML file so that it can perform whatever we want to. So if you look at this line on the top of the HTML file, a link, so we have already connected our style to our HTML document, and that's why the style took place whenever we styled our HTML file. Same thing, we need to connect our JavaScript files to our HTML file so that it can function, so that they can communicate with each other. So we're not going to add it on the top. Obviously you can, but that's not a professional way of doing that, because first of all, when a user like see a websites, we want our content and our style to be displayed first and then our JavaScript, because those are the first thing that a user see, not the JavaScript thing. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to add at the very top bottom of the HTML file, I'm gonna add a script, and then I'm gonna connect my JavaScript file. Okay, now we're good to go. So now inside of the JavaScript, so I need to create variables. So those are like the things that store our data so that we can use that data later on in our program. So I'm gonna create const. So I'm not gonna go into detail again. So const is just a keyword that allows us to store data, the data that we don't want to be changed later in the program. So I'm gonna give it a decrease name, and then I'm gonna create this get element by ID, and then I'm gonna go back to HTML. So you can see that we have a decrease button with an ID of decrease button. So I'm gonna grab that, I'm gonna paste it here. Okay, then I'm gonna create another const with the name of reset, and then document dot get element by ID. I'm gonna give it an ID, so I'm gonna grab the ID of reset button from this one. So basically we have an ID of reset button or reset btn, and then I need another const. I'm gonna name it increase document get element by ID. And then inside of this we're gonna grab this ID increase button. Okay, we're gonna make sure that we don't forget the semicolon at the end of this segment. Then we're gonna get another constant. I'm gonna give it a counter document dot get element by ID. So to do that, you can see the header one of this. I'm gonna grab this ID because we need that over there. Okay, so now I have 4 const variables and I need another variables. I'm gonna name it count. I'm gonna assign a value of 0 to it. So now what I'm going to do is that I'm gonna target each of these const to be performed, and I want them to perform. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to target the first one, and then the second one, and third one, and so on and so forth. So decrease on click. So I'm gonna create a function. So I'm not gonna give it any name for now. So decrease. So what the decrease button does is that it's going to decrease the number from 0 to negative and to whatever number you want. To do that, I'm gonna count and then minus, and then I'm gonna target this one, counter, and then dot text content. I'm gonna display whatever the count is. Okay, so I think we have created successfully the first element of this program, which is to count down whenever I click this button off on the left side. So hopefully if I haven't made any mistakes or any typo or anything like that, hopefully it's going to work when I click on the subtraction sign. So let's see. Voila, it works. So I'm gonna click. So as you can see, it's going to count down from 0. But if I click reset, it doesn't work. But I click on the plus sign, it doesn't work. Why? Because we haven't declared any like JavaScript program for it to perform. We only set for this decrease button. So we're gonna do that for those as well. All right, so now that we are like our decrease button work, we're gonna make it for all this button, for the reset and for the plus sign. So right now this doesn't work. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to like target the reset and then dot on click, and I'm going to create a function, and then I'm going to like count equal to 0. It's going to allow me to like when I press the reset button, it's going to bring that number into 0. Then counter dot text content equal whatever the count is. So as you can see, if I click on the decrease button, it's going to decrease the number, and then if I click on the reset, it's going to bring back to the 0. So we're gonna create another for increase dot on click equal function, and then inside of that we're gonna say count plus plus, and then counter dot text content equal whatever the count is. Okay, so now it should work very nicely. So I can decrease the number, and then I can reset it, or I can increase the number to whatever number I want. So I can display it in the browser here. There you go. I can decrease it, I can reset it, I can decrease it, increase it, and then I can reset it. Alright everyone, that was the counter program that I just built for you guys. So by the way, I have included every single resources that I thought it's going to be helpful if you are going to use it. So I have like pasted every single code that I have wrote inside of my GitHub account, which you can access to, and also every detail and every resources that you need, you can find it in the description below this video. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.